So this is the basics of combat, of melee combat specifically in Dark Souls. I talked about it a little bit in the previous video, but I'll go over it again. You have a left and a right hand. In my left hand is the shield, and in the right hand is the sword. So the right hand attacks are mapped to right bumper and right trigger. The trigger attacks are the strong attacks, and the bumper attacks are kind of the default, I guess, attacks. So hitting right bumper does kind of a quick sword swipe, right? While doing the right trigger does a much slower lunging attack. That's that's longer to recover from.
Probably does more damage.
Right, it does more damage, but not so much significantly more that it's worth doing. Like doing two quick attacks like this probably does just as much damage as a strong attack, and
you're not as vulnerable.
So it's easier and probably the smarter way to play it. Holding left bumper just holds out your shield, and then hitting left trigger, you can knock away an enemy's attack, and then by hitting right bumper, like if you counter their attack perfectly timed with that, you can like basically execute them with a stab right to the gut. It's really hard to do, and if you screw up the timing on that, you leave yourself extremely vulnerable to attacks. So I don't like doing it at all. I never do it. I just haven't bothered learning the timing of that yet, and I don't want to. So almost all the time when I go into battle, I'm just holding left bumper. So let's go kill a couple. Another important concept to learn about this game is the stamina bar, which is the green bar under my health. You can see right now it's full. Anytime you attack, it uses a little bit of that, right? And you can keep attacking until you run out of stamina. So you have to kind of wait for the stamina to recharge. If you hold your shield out, your stamina recharges slower, significantly slower than if you just let go of it. So if you're looking to get back into the fight, you gotta let go of the shield or just kind of run away, you know. Also, when you get hit by enemies' attacks, that drains your stamina as well. So you can't just, if you're in a big team fight and there's 3 or 4 guys attacking you at once, your stamina is going to drain pretty quickly because every time you block an attack, it drains that stamina. There's also what else? There's a couple basic attacks, kind of special attacks, I guess. If you hit up and right bumper at the same time, you do a kick, and you can kick people off a cliff with that. I don't really like it that much. I mean, it's fun to kick people off a cliff, but it's not that effective of an attack. I never use right trigger as a basic attack, but if you hit up and right trigger, you do a jumping attack. And the timing of that's not like up then right trigger. It's not like you're holding up and then hit right trigger. It's up and right trigger at the exact same moment to jump and attack at someone, to kind of pierce them really
up quick. On the stick, not the D-pad, right?
Right, sorry, up on the left stick and then right trigger really quickly. So
what about like running away? Do you roll away?
So rolling also uses stamina. Holding B sprints and uses stamina as well. Not very fast though. Also, if you're just standing still and you hit B, you kind of jump back. Like if you're not pressing any direction on the stick, on the left stick, just hitting B kind of jumps back an inch or two. So let's go into combat. Let's show what I'm talking about firsthand. Now this is the correct way to go if you're actually playing through the game the first time. So hitting right stick also locks onto a target, which is very helpful in getting the blocks down correctly. So you can see it's kind of hard to tell because it's such little amounts of attack. Maybe I can see more here. I'm blocking every one of their attacks and they're doing no damage to me because I'm just holding left bumper. You can also cycle between locked on targets by hitting up or down on the right stick. So I can focus on the other guy by hitting up and down. And I'm going to let them break. So I don't have a lot of stamina. Come on. And come on, hit me with low stamina. So I didn't have enough stamina there to block their attacks. So even though I had my shield out, they damaged me.
I see.
Which is basically how it works. So, and that's not super important for these weak guys because there's a very low chance that that's actually going to happen. But against bosses who have very strong attacks, that happens a lot. So you really have to, like, the boss fights are a lot about stamina management. So let's kick this guy off the cliff. Get off. Oh no. So anyway, so the basic combat throughout most of the game is let them attack your shield, they kind of recoil, and sometimes they dodge your counterattacks, and then hit them with the right bumper, and that'll finish them off. That's the basic combat throughout most of the game. It's just getting that timing down of let them hit you. So there's going to be a firebomb, a guy above me trying to, whoops.
Trying to do that?
Hitting me. Yep, doing exactly that. So like this guy's a little bit stronger, and you can see there his attacks took away quite a bit more stamina.
Now do enemies, does that fire hurt the enemy?
There is no friendly fire. So what I'm going to do here is, so the enemies with shields do the exact same. Well, these early level guys are pretty simple, but a lot of times they'll have shields out too. Like not too much further into the game, there'll be these spear guys whose pattern is they won't attack until you hit their shield, and then you have to block their next attack, and then you can stab them. So it's kind of like, yeah. Also, if you sneak up on an enemy and you get like right behind them, like basically touching them, you can hit right bumper and stab them right in the back and do a huge amount of damage, which is really great for a couple bosses that are kind of positioned so that they're easy to kill. Or easy to get a backstab on, you know? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, so also, if you tap Y when you're in a situation like this, when you have a one-handed sword and a shield, you switch to two-handed, which does, I think, 50% more damage. But blocking with the sword doesn't really block. It doesn't block 100% of the damage, which is...
do you ever
important.
do it?
No, I never do it. Well, there are some boss fights. Well, there's one boss fight that I was playing last night, actually, where I knew I had like a 5-second window to attack a boss. Mm-hmm. So I would switch to two-handed, get a couple big swipes in, and then switch back to two-handed just to block any further attacks that he had coming at me. Mm-hmm. But for all these basic enemies, I never use two-handed. For bow and arrow, you need to go two-handed though. But yeah, so stamina management is really the name of the game when it comes to the harder fights. I'm trying to think what else. Like, you know, you can take off your shield. You can switch
and
between.
Screw yourself.
Yeah, and I
how do you do that? What shouldn't you press to put your shield
that
away?
That happened in one of the fights I was playing last night. Like I was cycling between items on the bottom D-pad, and I accidentally took off my shield. And in like the frantic nature of a boss fight, I couldn't get my shield back on, and I just got boned completely because I couldn't block any of their attacks.
Yeah.
Any questions that you have? I mean, I think just getting this pattern down of, you know, how to block their attacks, you know, waiting for the second swing. Oh, and things like fire bombs. You usually can't block them. Come on, get off. I'll kill this guy first. I'm gonna kick this guy off the fucking plane. Oh, he fell. Oh my god, don't fall off. Yeah, so anyway, and enemies that fall, you still get the souls that they give you by killing them, but they also, but you lose any potential items that they may have dropped. But most basic enemies have nothing to give you. I don't know I hope that made some sense for people who are new to the game. I mean, obviously, if you've played Dark Souls a lot, you know this already. But it took me a while to learn in Dark Souls, so hopefully this helps out new people to this game. If you have any questions, just post them in the comments. Like if something I'm explaining doesn't make sense, and I will try to
write the answer.
Yeah, no. I'll make a follow-up video if need be. explaining some of that. And the next video I'm making is going to explain humanity and souls and some of the more complicated concept that this game has to offer.